Hey guys, and welcome back. Tonight we journey to a world of chivalry and romance, or so the stories and fairy tales would have you believe. We picture knights on white horses, grand balls, and princesses falling in love. But the reality of a medieval marriage proposal, especially for the nobility, was not a fairy tale. It was a high-stakes test of endurance, politics, and survival, where a single wrong word or an improper glance could mean ruin. You are a young noblewoman, and your great test is about to begin. And tonight, we will see why your modern ideas of love, of choice, and of speaking your mind would get you sent to a nunnery, or worse. So, before the suitor arrives, take a moment to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy these quiet journeys into the past. As always, let me know in the comments where you are all listening from. All right, find a comfortable spot. Let the world outside fade away, and let us step back in time. The morning is a quiet, orderly, and deeply predictable affair, just like every other morning of your life. You are seated in the solar, the small, private sitting room reserved for the ladies of the castle. The weak winter sun streams through the high, arched window, illuminating the dust motes that dance in the air and the vibrant, colored threads of the embroidery in your lap. The only sound is the gentle crackle of the fire in the hearth and the soft, rhythmic whisper of your needle passing through the fine linen. You are stitching a scene of a unicorn in a garden, a creature of myth, as pure and as trapped as you are. Your world is a small, safe, and heavily gilded cage. Your days are a gentle rhythm of prayer, embroidery, and quiet, supervised walks in the castle garden. Your education has been in the feminine arts, how to manage a household, how to be silent in the company of men, how to be modest, pious, and above all, obedient. You are your father's daughter, a valuable and well cared for asset, and you are waiting. You have been waiting your entire life for your purpose to be revealed. Today, it will be. The heavy oak door to the solar swings open without a preliminary knock. You look up, startled. It is your father. He is a man you see perhaps once a day, at the high table during the evening meal. He never enters the solar. This is a woman's world. His sudden, powerful presence here is a shocking violation of the castle's unspoken rules. It is a sign that something of immense importance is about to happen. He is a large man, built for the battlefield, not for these delicate chambers. He wears his heavy riding leathers, and he smells of the cold morning air and of his horse. He strides to the center of the room, his presence seeming to suck all the warmth and quiet out of it. Your ladies in waiting, who had been sitting with you, immediately scurry to their feet, their heads bowed, and retreat to the corners of the room, trying to make themselves invisible. Your father does not waste time with pleasantries. He is a commander, not a conversationalist. His gaze is not the warm gaze of a father, but the cool, assessing gaze of a lord inspecting his property. The Baron of Blackwood arrives today, he says, his voice a low, gravelly rumble that seems to shake the very air. He will be here before the midday meal. You feel a jolt of pure, cold dread. The Baron of Blackwood, a name you have only heard in whispers, a man known throughout the kingdom for his wealth, his vast lands, and his brutality in the border wars, a man old enough to be your grandfather. Your father continues, his eyes fixed on you, his tone leaving no room for questions. He seeks a new wife. His first, as you know, died in childbirth last year, leaving him with no male heir. I have sent word that my own house is blessed with a daughter of good breeding and a healthy constitution. He is talking about you as if you were a prize mare he was presenting for sale. He is a powerful man, Anne, your father says, using your name for the first time, and the sound of it feels strange, a formal declaration. His lands to the north border our own, This match will end a decade of costly and bloody disputes. It will secure our borders. It will give our family a powerful ally at the king's court. It is a good and necessary alliance. He pauses, letting the immense political weight of his words settle upon you. He is not asking for your opinion. He is explaining a military strategy, a strategy in which you are the key piece, the territory to be ceded to secure a peace treaty. You are to be presented to him after the meal, he says, and then come the orders. You will be serene. You will be modest. You will be obedient. You will not offer your opinions unless they are asked for. And then they will be mild and agreeable. You will not laugh loudly. You will not be familiar. You will sit. You will walk. And you will listen. And you will be a credit to the name of this house. He looks at you, his eyes hard as stone. Do not fail me in this. You stare down at the unicorn in your lap. The needle is still in your hand, but your fingers are numb. Your heart is a frantic, trapped bird, beating against the cage of your ribs. Your carefully constructed world of quiet, predictable order has just been shattered. The purpose you have been waiting for your entire life has been revealed. And it is this: to be the price of a political alliance, to be the wife of a hard and cruel old man you have never met. You know you have no choice. In your world, a daughter does not choose her husband. A daughter is chosen. Her feelings are an irrelevance. Her duty is her entire existence. Yes, father, you whisper, your voice a thin, reedy sound you barely recognize. He gives a single satisfied nod. The business is concluded. He has delivered his orders. He turns, his heavy cloak swirling, and strides out of the room, leaving a vortex of cold air and terror in his wake. You are left in the sudden, ringing silence of the solar, your embroidery forgotten in your lap. The single, half-finished stitch you were making when he entered is the last stitch you will ever take as a girl with an unknown future. The quiet, ordinary morning has been transformed into the beginning of the most important and most terrifying test of your life. Your father is gone. The heavy oak door of the solar closes behind him, and the vacuum of his powerful, demanding presence is filled with a new and terrifying silence. You sit frozen on your stool, the forgotten piece of embroidery still clutched in your hand, his words echoing in your mind. The Baron arrives today. Do not fail me in this. It was not a request. It was a command, a threat, a statement of your entire purpose for being. The stunned silence is broken by Elsbeth, your senior lady-in-waiting. She steps forward from the corner of the room where she had made herself invisible. The gentle, deferential woman who was your companion just moments ago is gone. In her place is a seasoned and determined general, a veteran of 100 of these social campaigns, and her face is a mask of grim, professional focus. Isabel Anne, she says to the younger maids, her voice sharp and quiet. The rosewater, the pot of ceruse, and the tweezers. We do not have much time. The work must be perfect today. The time for quiet, maidenly pastimes is over. The time for the frantic, painful, and absolutely critical work of preparation has begun. You are no longer a daughter, a girl sitting in the sunlit solar. You are a project. You are a canvas. You are a piece of high-stakes diplomatic art, and you must be sculpted into a vision of perfection. You are led to your chair before the dressing table, and the long, arduous process begins. This is not a ritual of beatification. It is the donning of armor. Each layer, each painful procedure is a plate of ceremonial armor you must wear to face the coming battle. First, your face must be scoured, prepared for the pate. Isabel brings the basin of cold water and the harsh lye-based soap. The washing is not a gentle, soothing act. It is a rough, vigorous scrubbing. designed to strip away any oil or impurity, leaving your skin red, raw, and ready. It is the scouring of a steel plate before the armorer begins his work. Then comes the first and most important layer of your armor, the mask of purity. Elsbeth herself takes up the small pot of Venetian ceruse, the thick, white, and poisonous paste of lead and vinegar. She looks at you, her expression that of an artist assessing a canvas. A baron is a man of war, not a poet, she says, her voice a low, instructional murmur, as she begins to apply the cold, heavy paste to your face. He is not looking for a girl. He is looking for a wife who will bring him strong sons and a strong alliance. Your face today must not be merely pretty. It must be a symbol. It must be a testament to the purity of your bloodline and the health of your body. Her fingers, though gentle, are firm and efficient. She applies the lead paste in a thick, smooth, and utterly opaque layer, a perfect white shield. The freckles on your nose, a sign of a moment's youthful carelessness in the sun, are obliterated. The faint, maidenly flush in your own cheeks, a sign of your nervous, beating heart, is ruthlessly extinguished. The living, breathing, and flawed girl is being systematically erased. He must see no sign of common labor, she continues, her voice a quiet litany of the rules of this strange warfare. Your skin must be the color of milk and lilies, the skin of a woman who has never known the touch of the sun. He must see a creature of the indoors, a treasure kept safe within the castle walls. The lead mask dries, tightening on your skin, fixing your features into a serene, placid, and almost inhuman expression. Now comes the painful sculpting. Elsbeth takes up the bronze tweezers. Your brow must be high and clear, she says. It is the sign of an intelligent and pious mind, a mind that will not challenge her husband's authority. You braced yourself as she begins to pluck the fine hairs from your hairline, moving upwards, creating a vast, domed forehead. Each pluck is a tiny, sharp sting, a small sacrifice at the altar of perceived intelligence. Then she moves to your eyebrows, methodically, ruthlessly, erasing them from your face, until nothing is left but a smooth, blank expanse of white painted skin. You endure the pain in absolute silence. To cry out, to show weakness now, would be to prove yourself unfit for the great duty that awaits you. The final layer of the facial armor is the heraldry, the touch of color that gives the mask its meaning. Elsbeth applies the two perfect, modest circles of cochineal rouge to your cheeks. A sign of maidenly virtue, she whispers. Then, with a fine, steady hand, she paints your lips with the brilliant, deadly crimson of the mercury-based vermilion, and a sign of a healthy passion, but one that is perfectly controlled. You stare at your reflection in the dark, bronze mirror. You are gone. The face that looks back at you is a strange, beautiful, and terrifying thing. It is the face of a political statement. It is a face that says, I am of pure blood. I am pious. I am healthy. I am virtuous. I am valuable. It is a perfect, silent, and entirely false piece of propaganda. It is the armor you will wear to your own appraisal. And as you feel the now familiar dull throb of a headache begin behind your eyes, you are reminded that this beautiful armor, like all armor, is a heavy, painful, and poisonous burden. The poisonous mask on your face is complete, a masterpiece of serene and beautiful deception. Now, the rest of your body must be brought into alignment, encased in an equally restrictive and symbolic armor of its own. You have survived the trial by poison and by pain. Now you must endure the trial by fabric and by rule. You stand in your thin linen chemise, the only soft and comfortable garment you will wear all day, As your maids, Elsbeth and Isabel, approach with the first layer of your gilded cage, it is the kirtle, a long, tightly fitted undergown of heavy, dark blue wool. It is a simple, functional garment, but its function is not comfort. Its function is to create a shape. You slip your arms into the tight sleeves, and the maids move to your back. The lacing begins. This is the first and most profound act of physical restriction. Elsbeth takes the thick linen cord, and with the practiced, impersonal efficiency of a soldier arming his squire, she begins to pull. The breath is driven from your lungs in a sharp, familiar gasp as the garment constricts around your torso. She pulls again and again, her foot braced against your lower back, cinching the kirtle tighter and tighter, compressing your ribs and forcing your body into the long, slender, and rigidly straight silhouette that fashion demands. You are now encased, your ability to breathe reduced to small, shallow, and ladylike sips of air. With the foundation of your form now rigidly established, the maids bring forward the gown itself, the magnificent velvet houppelande you are to wear for the presentation. As they lower the immense weight of it over your shoulders, Elsbeth, your senior lady-in-waiting and the chief strategist of this campaign, begins her final briefing. Her voice is a low, constant, and urgent murmur in your ear, a litany of rules for the performance you are about to give. This is not advice. This is a list of the conditions for your survival. Now, attend me, my lady, she says, her hands busy fastening the dozens of small, silver hooks that close the gown at the front. The Baron is a man of the old school. He is a warrior. He does not value wit or spirit in a woman. He values virtue, modesty, and a quiet, agreeable nature. You are not to be a person today. You are to be a perfect portrait of a lady. She moves to your side, adjusting the fall of one of the great ermine-lined sleeves. Your eyes, she begins, her voice sharp and precise. You will keep them downcast. When you walk, you will fix your gaze upon a spot on the floor 10 feet before you. When you are seated, you will study your own hands in your lap. To meet a man's gaze directly is an act of shocking boldness. It is the mark of a harlot or a queen, and you are neither. You are a maiden, and your eyes must be pools of modesty. Her words are a cage for your very sight. You are to walk through your own home, your own life, without ever truly looking at it. Your voice, she continues, her hands now fussing with the great stiff ruff at your neck, ensuring it sits at the perfect, uncomfortable angle. You will not speak unless you are spoken to directly by the Baron or by your father. When you are asked a question, you will pause, as if considering it with great and solemn thought. And then you will answer in a voice that is soft and low. You will not offer opinions. You will not tell jests. You will not ask questions of your own. Your voice is an instrument of gentle agreement, not of conversation. It is the sweet, quiet music that must accompany the words of men. Your voice, too, is now imprisoned, stripped of its power to do anything but affirm. Your mouth, Elsbeth says, her gaze now critical of your perfectly painted lips. You will not smile with your teeth. To show the teeth is a brutish, animal act. A lady's smile is a small, subtle, and mysterious upturning of the corners of the lips, nothing more. And you will not laugh. A loud, hearty laugh is a vulgar explosion, the sound of a peasant girl in a tavern. If the Baron makes a jest, you may permit yourself a small, musical tinkle of amusement, a sound like a tiny silver bell, nothing more. Your very joy is to be measured, controlled, and performed. And your body, she concludes, stepping back to take in the full, magnificent, and almost completely immobilized figure you have become. You will move with a slow, gliding grace. Your steps will be small and silent beneath your skirts. You will not fidget. You will not gesture with your hands. You will be a vision of serene and perfect stillness. Your body is a testament to your discipline, to your piety, and to your noble blood. It must be as calm and as untroubled as the surface of a deep lake. You stand there, listening to this litany of restrictions, this complex architecture of negation. Do not look, do not speak, do not laugh, do not move. You commit every rule to memory. You understand, with a chilling clarity, that your task today is not to show the Baron who you are. Your task is to perfectly and flawlessly conceal who you are. You must erase every trace of your own personality, your own spirit, your own life, and replace it with this perfect, silent, and agreeable effigy of a noble woman. You are now fully armored. Your body is trapped in a cage of fabric and bone, and your mind, your very spirit, is now trapped in a cage of intricate, unbreakable rules. Elsbeth gives you a final, critical look up and down. She nods once, a curt, professional gesture of approval. The construction is complete. The actor has learned her lines, or rather, her silences. You are ready to survive your own proposal. You stand in your chamber, a perfect, silent, and motionless work of art. The physical construction is complete, a masterpiece of fabric, paint, and hair. The psychological conditioning is also complete, a litany of rules. Do not look, do not speak, do not laugh. Now a silent catechism in your mind. You are as prepared as you can be. You are a beautiful, serene, and entirely hollow vessel, ready to be presented. But the final, and perhaps most crucial, piece of the elaborate machinery of your courtship has yet to be put in place. There is a sharp, authoritative rap on your chamber door. Elsbeth, your senior maid, opens it, bowing low. A figure enters, and the already tense and chilly atmosphere of the room seems to drop several degrees further. It is your Aunt Agnes. She is your father's widowed sister, a woman whose own brief, politically advantageous and utterly loveless marriage has left her with a piety that is as hard and as cold as the castle stones. She is a woman who has found her only remaining purpose, her only source of power, in being the absolute embodiment of propriety. She is dressed in a gown of severe, joyless, dark gray wool, a stark and deliberate contrast to your own magnificent, peacock-like splendor. Her hair is completely hidden beneath a starched white wimple, and her face, thin-lipped and unsmiling, is a mask of perpetual critical disapproval. She is to be your chaperone for the day. You perform a deep, slow, and perfect curtsy, your great velvet skirts pooling on the floor. "Aunt," you murmur, your gaze fixed on the floor, already performing the role of the modest maiden. She does not greet you with a word of warmth or encouragement. She circles you, her movements slow and deliberate, her sharp eyes missing nothing. It is the final inspection conducted by the most severe judge in the entire castle. Her gaze sweeps over you, from the impossible point of your hennin to the gilded hem of your gown. She is not admiring your beauty. She is searching for a flaw, a stray thread, a smudge of paint, a single hair out of place. Her inspection is a silent, terrifying ordeal. You feel like a soldier being inspected by a ruthless general before a great battle. After a long, agonizing moment, she gives a single, curt nod. The work of your maids has passed her inspection. She turns her cold, appraising gaze to you. "The maids have made you a thing of beauty," she says, her voice a dry, rustling sound, devoid of all emotion. "It is my duty to ensure you remain a thing of virtue." Her role today is simple and absolute. She is to be your shadow, your jailer. She will be with you at every moment that you are in the presence of the Baron. She is the guardian of your honor, the living symbol of your family's vigilance. You know what her presence means. When you walk in the garden with the Baron, she will be precisely 10 paces behind you, her ears open to every word that is spoken. When you sit at the feast, she will be seated strategically, her chair a fortress that blocks any possibility of a private glance or an illicit touch. When you play chess in the solar, she will be the silent third player in the room, watching every move. She is a human wall, a physical and social barrier built around your person. Her presence is a constant, suffocating reminder that you are not a free agent. You are a treasure, and you are under guard. She is the living proof, offered to the Baron and his family, that you are a well-managed, securely held, and entirely pure asset. You look at this grim, joyless woman, and through your own fear, you feel a faint, surprising flicker of pity. You know her story. You know that she, too, was once a young girl, bartered in marriage to a hard old man for the sake of an alliance. You know that her life has been a long, lonely path of loveless duty, and you understand that she clings to her role as the guardian of virtue with such a fanatical seriousness because it is the only role, the only source of authority and purpose that is left to her. She is ensuring that you walk the same hard, narrow path that she was forced to walk. She steps closer, adjusting a fold in your sleeve with her cold, dry fingers. "Remember your purpose, niece," she says, her voice a low, intense whisper. "You are the vessel of your family's honor today." A single misplaced smile can be interpreted as a forward invitation. A single dropped handkerchief can be seen as a brazen signal. You are a locked, gilded chest. I am the keeper of the key. You will not be opened until your wedding night. The final piece of your cage has just been locked into place. You are no longer just physically restricted by your clothes and psychologically constrained by the rules. You are now under constant, direct, and unforgiving surveillance. A horn sounds from the courtyard below, a clear, high blast of trumpets announcing that the Baron's party has been sighted. The time has come. Your Aunt Agnes looks at you one last time, her eyes like chips of flint. "It is time," she says. "Walk slowly, keep your eyes down, and do not, under any circumstances, speak first." You stand beside her, a beautiful, painted, and silent prisoner next to your grim and watchful jailer. The ordeal is no longer a future prospect. It is a present, immediate, and utterly suffocating reality. The clear, high blast of the trumpets from the watchtower echoes through the stone corridors of the castle. It is the formal announcement, a sound that sends a ripple of frantic, controlled energy through the entire household. The Baron's party has been sighted on the road. He is here. The time for preparation, for the slow, meticulous construction of your public self, is over. The finished product must now be presented. Yet you are not summoned. The rules of etiquette are as rigid and as unyielding as the castle walls. You, as the maiden to be appraised, must not appear eager. You must not be seen waiting. You must remain in your chambers, a hidden jewel, until you are formally called for. And so, the most agonizing phase of the ordeal begins. The waiting. You stand in the center of your chamber, a silent, glittering statue of a lady. Your aunt, a grim and silent sentinel, stands near the door. Your maids, having completed their work, have retreated to the corners of the room, their faces a mixture of pride and nervous anticipation. The room is utterly silent, save for the soft crackle of the fire in the hearth. The silence is a torment. It is a vacuum that your own terrified thoughts rush to fill. You can hear the arrival, a distant but clear series of sounds that travel up through the thick stone floors. You hear the clatter of dozens of horses' hooves on the frozen cobblestones of the main courtyard. You hear the jingle of their harnesses and the faint, metallic clank of armor. You hear the loud, booming voice of your father's stablemaster as he shouts orders to his grooms. you hear the deep, welcoming barks of the castle's wolfhounds, a sound they reserve for a visiting lord. Each sound is a small, sharp stab of anxiety, a signal that your fate is drawing closer, step by agonizing step. You stare at the tapestry on the wall, at the woven image of the terrified stag, cornered by the hounds, and you feel a profound and unwelcome sense of kinship. Your Aunt Agnes is speaking to Elsbeth in a low, quiet murmur, discussing some detail of the evening's feast. Her back is turned to you for a moment. This is your chance, a small, rebellious, and desperate need to see him, to know the face of your future before it is formally presented to you, overwhelms the years of training in passive obedience. With movements that are as silent and as fluid as a shadow, you glide to the far wall of the chamber, to the tall, narrow arrow slit that offers a sniver of a view down into the main courtyard. You press your face close to the cold, rough stone, your magnificent, towering hennin making the maneuver incredibly awkward. You peer down. A scene below is a chaotic and colorful tapestry of motion. You see the Baron's men, a score of them, their livery a dark, unfamiliar green as they swing down from their horses. They are large, bearded men, their faces hard and weathered from a life in the saddle, their armor scarred from past battles. They are an invading army, however peaceful their arrival. And then you see him. He is in the center of it all, the dark, unmoving rock around which the river of his retinue flows. He is dismounting from a massive black warhorse, a beast so large it makes your father's finest stallion look like a pony. He hands the reins to a waiting squire and turns, and for the first time, you see the face of the Baron of Blackwood. The whispers and rumors did not do him justice. He is older than your father, as you had feared. His thick, dark hair shot through with a harsh, steely gray. His face is not the face of a courtier. It is a hard, brutal landscape, shaped by a lifetime of war and command. A long, pale and puckered scar runs from his left temple down across his cheek, disappearing into his thick, gray-streaked beard. It is an old wound, but it gives his face a permanent, intimidating sneer. He is not smiling. He surveys your father's castle, his gaze slow, critical, and deeply proprietary, as if he is not a guest, but a conqueror, assessing the value of his newest acquisition. You watch as your own father, a man you have always seen as the ultimate authority, the center of your world, hurries forward to greet him. Your father is smiling, his arms open in a gesture of welcome, and you see him perform a bow that is just a fraction too deep, a gesture of deference that tells you everything you need to know about the balance of power in this negotiation. In this game, the Baron of Blackwood holds the stronger hand. The Baron is no longer a name, no longer a fearsome reputation whispered in the corridors. He is a real, physical, and deeply intimidating man. The abstract political nature of your impending betrothal has just become terrifyingly, horribly personal. The vague anxiety in your stomach curdles into a cold, hard knot of pure, undiluted dread. This is the man you are to marry. This is the man who will be the master of your body, your life, your future. You feel a hand on your arm. You jump, a small startled cry escaping your lips. It is your Aunt Agnes. Her face is a mask of cold fury. "What do you think you are doing?" she hisses, her fingers gripping your arm like a talon. "Spying like a common kitchen maid? Have you no shame? Get away from the window." She pulls you back to the center of the room. "Compose yourself," she commands. "You are flushed. Your performance is about to begin." Just as she speaks, a young page, dressed in your father's livery, appears at the chamber door. He does not enter. He bows low from the threshold. "My lady," he says, his young voice trembling slightly in the presence of such nobility. "Your father, the Earl, requests your presence in the great hall. The Baron of Blackwood has arrived." The summons has come. The waiting is over. The moment is here. You look at your Aunt Agnes, whose face is a mask of grim determination. She gives you a single, sharp, warning look, a final silent reminder of the 100 rules you must not break. You take a final, shallow breath, a prisoner being led from her cell to her own trial. You turn and follow the page out of the chamber, your maids falling into their designated places behind you. You are now walking towards your own judgment. The page's summons hangs in the air, a final, irrevocable command. The time for waiting is over. The time for the performance has begun. Your Aunt Agnes gives your gown a final, critical tug, her expression a silent and stern reminder of your duty. You turn and follow the young page, your maids falling into their designated positions behind you. A small, female delegation about to enter the overwhelmingly masculine world of the Great Hall. The journey from your chamber is a short one, but it is the longest walk of your life. With every slow, gliding step, your heart beats a frantic, panicked rhythm against the rigid whalebone of your corset. Your hands, clasped loosely before you as you were taught, are impossibly cold and slick with a fine ladylike sweat. Your mind is a whirlwind, a chaotic storm of your father's commands and your aunt's endless litany of rules. Eyes downcast, small steps, serene face. Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not smile. Do not exist. You reach the great arched entryway to the hall. 2 guards in your father's livery pull the heavy oak doors open for you. The world within is revealed, and you take a final, shallow breath. The scene is one of calculated power. The great hall is packed with men. The baron's retinue of green-liveried soldiers and squires lines one side, their faces hard and foreign. Your father's own household knights and men-at-arms line the other. In the center, standing before the roaring, magnificent inferno of the great hearth, are the 2 most powerful men in your world, your father and the baron. The moment you appear in the doorway, a hush falls over the entire assembly. The low murmur of conversation ceases. The only sounds are the crackling of the great fire and the soft, almost inaudible rustle of your own magnificent velvet gown. Every eye in this room, 100 pairs of eyes, is now fixed upon you. You begin to walk. It is a walk of 100 paces, from the doorway to the dais, but it feels like a journey of 1,000 miles across a vast and empty desert. The performance of a lifetime rests upon this single, silent procession. Your movements, you pray, are the very picture of effortless grace. You glide rather than walk, your feet taking tiny, shuffling steps that are hidden by the great, pooling river of your gown. You keep your head held high, a necessity to balance the precarious, towering Henan, but your eyes, as you were commanded, are modestly downcast, your gaze fixed on the patterns of the rushes on the floor some 10 feet before you. Your face, you hope, is the perfect, placid, and serene mask you have so carefully constructed. You are a ship in full sail, a magnificent and silent vessel, gliding through a sea of watchful, judging eyes. You feel the heat of the fire as you draw closer, a welcome and yet unsettling warmth on your cold skin. You can smell the rich, masculine scents of the hall, the sharp tang of wood smoke, the savory aroma of the roasting meats for the coming feast, the faint, underlying smell of horses, leather, and unwashed men. You finally reach the foot of the dais. You stop. The long walk is over. You do not look up. You simply wait. A silent, beautiful object presented for inspection. You hear your father's great, booming voice, filled with a false, hearty pride that you can detect all too easily. "My Lord Baron," he says, "may I present my only daughter, the Lady Anne." He takes your hand. His own hand is large and familiar, but his grip is tight and proprietary. He is not holding your hand. He is presenting you, a prized falcon on his glove, a well-bred hound on a leash. The Baron of Blackwood takes a step closer. You do not see him, for your eyes are still lowered, but you can feel his presence. You can feel the intensity of his gaze, a physical weight upon your bowed head. You can smell him, a scent of cold iron, of leather, and of a faint, expensive, and foreign spice. Now comes your part, the first test. With a slowness that you hope appears graceful, and not as the result of your trembling knees, you perform a deep, formal curtsy. You sink down. Your back perfectly straight, the immense volume of your velvet gown pooling around you like a great dark flower. It is a gesture of absolute and profound deference, an acknowledgement of his status, and of your own, as a woman before a powerful lord who may soon be your husband and your master. And then, you must speak. You must deliver the lines that you and your mother rehearsed for a week. Your heart is a wild, frantic bird in your chest, but your voice, when it comes, must be a soft, gentle dove. "My Lord Baron," you whisper, your voice a low, musical murmur that you pray does not betray the terror that is choking you. "You honor our humble house with your presence. Welcome." You remain in your deep curtsy, your head bowed, waiting. The silence stretches. It is a moment of pure, agonizing judgment. You have presented yourself. You have spoken your lines. Will he find you acceptable? You hear his voice for the first time. It is a low, gravelly, and deeply intimidating rumble. It is the voice of a man who is accustomed to giving orders on a battlefield, not pleasantries in a great hall. "Mistress," is all he says. It is not a compliment. It is not a greeting. It is a simple, curt, and almost dismissive acknowledgement of your existence. He is not here to be charmed. He is here to conduct business. Your father's hand on your arm gently pulls you upwards. You rise from your curtsy, your movements as smooth and as fluid as you can manage. The formal greeting is over. You have passed the Faust test. You did not faint. Your voice did not crack. You performed your part flawlessly. A tiny, almost imperceptible wave of relief washes over you, a feeling so profound it almost makes you weak. You stand before him, your eyes still demurely downcast. You are acutely aware of your Aunt Agnes, who has followed you into the hall and now stands just a few feet behind you, a silent, grim statue of propriety, her gaze a constant, burning reminder that you are being watched, that every breath you take is being judged. The public inspection has begun, and you know, with a chilling certainty, that the trials to come will be far more difficult than this simple, scripted greeting. You rise from your deep curtsy, your movements as fluid and as controlled as you can manage, your heart a frantic drum against the rigid cage of your corset. You have survived the first test. You have performed the formal greeting without fault. Now you stand in the vast, silent hall, a painted and perfumed object, and you wait for the next stage of your appraisal to be announced. Your father, his voice booming with a false, hearty cheerfulness that does not match the shrewd, calculating look in his eyes, gestures towards the tall arched doors that lead to the central courtyard. "My Lord Baron," he says, "the midday meal will not be for another hour. Perhaps you would care for a turn about the gardens to refresh yourself after your long journey. My daughter, Anne, would be honored to show you the rose arbor. The winter frost has made it quite a sight." It is not a suggestion. It is a command, both to you and to the Baron. It is the next scheduled event in this long and elaborate courtship ritual. The Baron gives a curt nod of assent. The trial continues. A small formal procession is formed. This is not to be a private romantic stroll. Such a thing would be an unthinkable breach of propriety. You and the Baron are to walk in the lead. 10 paces behind you, a precise and non-negotiable distance, walks your grim-faced chaperone, your Aunt Agnes, her eyes a constant, burning presence on your back. and 10 paces behind her, a silent and watchful guardian of the Baron's own interests, is his most senior and trusted squire, a hard-faced man with a sword at his hip. You are a diplomatic delegation of 2, but you are flanked on all sides by your jailers. You walk from the oppressive, smoky heat of the great hall, through the cold stone of the corridor, and out into the main bailey. The air here is sharp, clean, and brutally cold. It is a relief after the thick, cloying atmosphere of the hall. You walk across the frozen, cobblestoned courtyard, your little procession, a strange, formal island in the midst of the castle's bustling, workaday life. Servants and stable hands avert their gaze and bow their heads as you pass. You are a creature from another world. You reach the entrance to the walled garden. It is your mother's pride, and in the summer, it is a riot of color and sweet perfume. In the dead of winter, it is a different kind of beauty. It is a stark, quiet, and melancholic landscape of sleeping life. As you step onto the narrow gravel path, the world becomes a study in gray, black, and white. The rose bushes, which in June are heavy with magnificent crimson blooms, are now nothing but a tangled, thorny mass of black, skeletal branches, each one outlined in a delicate, crystalline lacework of pure white frost. The ground is frozen as hard as iron beneath your feet. The only color is the dark, waxy green of the holly bushes and the ivy that clings to the high stone walls. It is a beautiful but severe and deeply somber place. It is a perfect reflection of the cold, formal, and joyless nature of your task. You begin to walk, the crunch of your soft leather shoes on the gravel the only sound for a moment. And then the interrogation begins. The Baron is not a man for idle chatter. Every question he asks is a carefully weighted stone, designed to test the foundations of your character and your suitability. Your father tells me you are skilled at embroidery, my lady, he says, his gravelly voice startling you in the quiet of the garden. He is not looking at you, but at the frozen rose bushes. I find it a pleasing pastime to keep my hands from idleness, my lord, you reply, your voice a soft, quiet murmur. It is the perfect, rehearsed answer, one your mother has drilled into you 100 times. It shows industry, modesty, and a lack of frivolousness. A useful skill, he grunts, a sound of approval. An idle woman is the devil's workshop. My own castle is a great and drafty place. There are many tapestries that require constant repair. He is not just complimenting your skill. He is informing you of your future duties. You continue to walk in silence for a few paces. Then his next question comes. And you understand the running of a great household, I trust? The salting of meats for the winter? The management of the larders and the dairies? The discipline of the servant girls? This is a direct audit of your practical value. He is a widower. He is not looking for a lover. He is looking for a chief administrator for his domestic world. My mother has instructed me in all aspects of managing a great house, my lord. You reply, your gaze fixed on the path ahead. I find great satisfaction in a well-ordered and prosperous home. Another perfect scripted answer. You do not mention that you find the task of accounting for sacks of flour mind-numbingly dull. You are selling yourself, and you must present the best possible version of the product. He nods again, a small, thoughtful gesture. The winters in my northern lands are harsher than this, he says, gesturing vaguely at the frozen landscape. The winds blow down from the ice. It requires a strong constitution to endure it. You are of good health? This is the most important question of all, the one that lies beneath all the others. He is asking about your body. He is asking about your womb. He is asking if you are strong enough to survive the rigors of childbirth in a cold northern castle, and most importantly, to provide him with the healthy male heir that his first wife failed to deliver. God has blessed me with a sturdy constitution, my lord. you say. The lie a smooth, practiced thing. You do not mention the lung fever that laid you low last winter, nor the frailness that has been a secret worry for your mother your entire life. Good, he says. The word is final. The circuit of the garden is almost complete. You have answered his questions. You have recited your lines. You have performed the role of the modest, pious, skilled, and healthy noblewoman. You have been a perfect actress. As you approach the gate to leave, he asks one final question. You are a pious woman, I trust. You attend your prayers daily? I endeavor to be pious in all things, my lord, you whisper. He grunts, a final sound of satisfaction. The interrogation is over. You have passed the second test. You have proven, through your carefully managed words, that you are not just a beautiful face, but a competent, healthy, and obedient potential wife. You turn and begin the silent, cold walk back towards the castle. The weight of your chaperones and your suitor's approval, a heavy and strangely suffocating burden. The walk in the frozen garden is complete. You have answered the Baron's questions, your words a carefully constructed tapestry of modesty, piety, and domestic competence. He seemed satisfied. His curt nods, a sign that you have passed the second and more direct of his examinations. You return to the castle. The biting cold of the outdoors, a welcome and honest thing compared to the false, calculated warmth of your suitor's scrutiny. A next stage of the appraisal is to take place in the solar. The room which you had prepared hours ago is now the warmest and most comfortable place in the entire fortress. The fire in the hearth crackles merrily, and the bronze brazier pulses with a deep, silent heat. It is a room designed for leisure, for quiet contemplation. But today, it is not a sanctuary. It is an arena. In the center of the room, between two great, high-backed oaken chairs placed before the fire, a small table has been set. Upon it is a magnificent chessboard. It is one of your father's prized possessions, a board of inlaid ebony and polished bone. The chessmen are not simple wooden tokens. They are intricately carved from walrus ivory, each piece a miniature sculpture. The White King is a tiny, perfect model of a European monarch, his queen beside him. The Black King is a fearsome Saracen sultan, his queen veiled and mysterious. This is not just a game. It is a work of art, a symbol of a world of strategy and power. Your father gestures to the board. My Lord Baron, he says, his voice full of a practiced, casual pride. My daughter Anne has a keen mind for the game. Perhaps you would honor her with a match while we await the meal. It is not a question. It is a command. This is the third test. You understand its purpose immediately. Your worth as a bride is not just in your bloodline or your childbearing hips. It is also in your mind. The Baron, a man who commands armies and navigates the treacherous politics of the royal court, requires a wife who is not a simpleton. She must be intelligent enough to manage his vast household, to entertain his noble guests, and to understand the subtle currents of power. But this is a test with a treacherous and hidden rule. You must demonstrate your intelligence, but you must not, under any circumstances, reveal its true extent. You take your seat, your maids arranging the heavy velvet of your gown around you. The Baron settles into the chair opposite, the wood of the great chair groaning under his weight. Your chaperone, your Aunt Agnes, takes up her needlework and seats herself in a chair a respectable distance away. But where she can see every move on the board and hear every word that is spoken, the game begins. The Baron plays as he lives, with a direct, aggressive, and brutal force. He opens with his knights, sending them leaping into your territory, a cavalry charge against your defenses. His strategy is one of intimidation, of overwhelming power. He is a warrior, and he plays chess as if it were a battle, all charges and bold assaults. You, on the other hand, have been taught by a different master. Your tutor was an old, clever priest who taught you that chess is not a battle. It is a net. It is a game of patience, of subtle traps, of luring your opponent into a position from which there is no escape. You are, you know with a quiet, secret certainty, a far better player than the Baron. You see the flaws in his aggressive attack. You see the pawns he has left undefended. You see the trap he is clumsily trying to set for your queen. A trap you could not only avoid, but turn back upon him with devastating consequences. A part of you, the intelligent, competitive part that you are forced to hide from the world, yearns to do just that. It yearns to dismantle his crude assault, to surround his king, to watch the look of surprise on his hard face as he realizes he has been comprehensively outthought by a girl. But you know that to do so would be to fail the test in the most spectacular way possible. To win would be an act of profound social violence. It would be an insult to his masculinity, to his status as a warrior and a lord. It would reveal you to be not a modest and agreeable maiden, but a dangerously clever and competitive woman. And a dangerously clever woman is not what the Baron is looking for in a wife. So, you must perform the most difficult and delicate maneuver of all. You must play to lose, but you must do it so cleverly that you appear to have been trying your very best to win. You are no longer playing against the Baron. You are playing against yourself. You meet his bold charges with a defense that is clever, but not too clever. You create a formidable-looking wall of pawns. You counter his attacks, but you do not launch any devastating counterattacks of your own. You allow him to believe that he is a brilliant strategist, slowly and inevitably grinding down your stubborn but ultimately inferior defenses. The game is a long and silent one. The only sounds the soft click of the ivory pieces on the board and the crackle of the fire. You are walking a tightrope. You must show enough skill to impress him, but not so much as to intimidate him. Finally, you see the moment. He has overextended his queen, leaving his king vulnerable to a devastating attack from your rook. You see the path to victory, a clear and beautiful three-move sequence that would leave his ivory sultan trapped and defeated. And you do not take it. Instead, you make a different move. You move your knight to defend against a minor threat on the other side of the board. It is a plausible move, a move a less experienced player might make, focusing on a small skirmish while ignoring the larger strategic opportunity. The Baron's eyes light up. He has not seen his own vulnerability, but he sees the opening you have just accidentally given him. With a grim, triumphant smile, he moves his rook, taking your queen. "A costly mistake, my lady," he rumbles. You perform your part perfectly. You look at the board, your eyes widening slightly, a mask of maidenly surprise and disappointment. You allow a small, sad sigh to escape your lips. "Indeed, my lord," you whisper, your voice full of practiced admiration. "Your attack was too powerful for me to see the danger." The rest of the game is a formality. Your queen is gone. Your defenses crumble. A few moves later, he corners your ivory king. "Checkmate," he declares, with the deep satisfaction of a man who has proven his own natural superiority. You look at the board, at your defeated king surrounded by his dark Saracen enemies. You look at the Baron, his face pleased with his own cleverness. You have passed the third test. You have proven that you are intelligent, but that you are not, and will never be, a threat to him. You have won by losing. And as you look at the captured White Queen, sitting uselessly on the side of the board, you see a perfect, terrible, and silent metaphor for your own future. The Ivory King lies defeated on the board. The Baron of Blackwood leans back in his great chair, a look of grim, masculine satisfaction on his scarred face. He has won. He has proven his intellectual superiority over you, a mere girl. You, in turn, have performed your part flawlessly, offering a polite and admiring compliment to his masterful strategy, while your own mind quietly mourns the beautiful three-move victory you deliberately sacrificed. You have passed the third test. You have proven yourself to be intelligent, but not threateningly so. A herald enters the solar and bows low. My lord, the midday meal is served in the great hall. The time for quiet strategic games is over. The time for the longest, most public, and most grueling test of the day has arrived, the feast. You rise, a slow and careful maneuver, and you join the small procession back to the great hall. The Baron walks with your father, their conversation now a low, rumbling discussion of land rights and military levies. You walk a respectful pace behind, a silent and decorative postscript to their important talk, your ever-present aunt a shadow at your side. You re-enter the great hall. It has been transformed. The trestle tables are now laden with the bounty of your father's wans, a magnificent and calculated display of wealth and power, all staged in the Baron's honor. The air is thick with the rich, savory smells of roasted meats, of baking bread, of spiced wine. The minstrels in their gallery are playing a lively tune. The hall is a theater of abundance, and you are about to become the lead actress in its central play. You are not seated next to your mother, nor with your ladies in waiting. You are given the seat of highest honor and of highest scrutiny, directly to the right of the Baron himself. To be seated here is not a comfort. It is to be placed directly under the microscope. The feast begins. It is a marathon of self-control, a performance of 100 tiny, carefully managed details. For the men around you, it is an occasion for boisterous indulgence. For you, it is an ordeal. A servant places a silver platter before you, a luxury that sets you apart from the lesser knights who eat from trenchers of stale bread. He serves you a delicate slice of roasted capon, a spoonful of saffron yellow rice, and a single, perfectly glazed carrot. And now, your test begins. You watch the Baron. He takes up his own knife, spears a great chunk of meat, and tears into it with his teeth, the grease shining on his beard. He laughs loudly at a joke from your father, his mouth open, his voice a booming echo in the hall. He drains his goblet of wine in 3 great swallows and slams it back down on the table for a refill. He is a creature of magnificent, unrestrained appetite. You, on the other hand, must be his perfect opposite. You must be a creature of pure, ethereal restraint. You pick up your own small, silver-gilt knife. You carefully, slowly, cut a piece of the capon so tiny it is almost an insult to the cook. You lift the minuscule morsel to your mouth, your movements slow and deliberate. Your painted lips part only just enough to accept the food. You chew with small, silent, and nearly imperceptible movements of your jaw. Your face, your perfect, serene mask, betrays no effort, no enjoyment, nothing. You are a beautiful statue pretending to eat. This performance is a constant, high-stakes negotiation with your own magnificent prison. Your massive, floor-length sleeves are a constant threat. You must hold your arm at a stiff, awkward angle to keep the heavy velvet from dragging through your food or tipping over your goblet. The tight lacing of your kirtle constricts your stomach, making even the smallest bite feel like a heavy stone, and the lead mask upon your face is a brittle, fragile thing. You must not smile too widely, you must not laugh, you must not show any expression at all for fear of cracking the perfect, white, poisonous surface. Your primary role is not to eat, but to listen. The Baron and your father dominate the conversation, their voices a loud rumble of politics, of warfare, of the price of wool, of the king's latest decree. It is the conversation of men who rule the world. You sit in silence, your head tilted at a slight, attentive angle, your expression one of placid, intelligent interest. You do not understand half of what they speak of, but you must appear as though you understand all of it, and that you find it deeply, if quietly, fascinating. Occasionally the Baron, as if suddenly remembering your presence, will turn to you. "The wine is to your liking, my lady," he might ask. You stop, pause, and then give your soft, rehearsed answer. "It is very fine, my lord." "Your father's hounds are known for their speed," he might remark later. "My father is a master of the hunt, my lord." Your answers are perfect. They are brief, they are humble, they are utterly agreeable. You offer no opinions. You tell no stories. You do not exist. You are a beautiful, echoing void, a perfect mirror that reflects back the importance of the men around you. The hours crawl by. The feast is a blur of platters, of wine, of noise. Your back is a pillar of fire from the strain of sitting so perfectly straight. Your neck is a knot of pure agony from the weight of the hennin. The dull throb behind your eyes has returned, a familiar, poisonous companion. Your stomach is a hollow, empty cavern, but you feel no hunger, only the sharp, gnawing ache of pure, undiluted anxiety. You watch the other ladies at the table. They are performing the same silent, exhausting play. They are all beautiful, silent, and perfectly composed statues. You are all players in the same game, competitors and allies in the great, silent art of being a noblewoman. Finally, after what feels like a lifetime, the last of the savory courses is cleared away. You have successfully navigated the long public ordeal. You have eaten almost nothing. You have spoken fewer than 20 words. You have smiled your small, serene, closed-lipped smile 100 times. You have been the perfect, silent, and beautiful object. The Baron seems pleased. Your father is visibly relaxed. You have, it seems, passed the fourth and longest test. But the day and your trial is not yet over. The main courses of the feast have been cleared away. The great hall is a loud, smoky, and drunken cavern, the air thick with the smell of wine and sweat. The men at the high table are flushed and loud, their boasts and laughter echoing in the rafters. You have survived the long, grueling performance of the meal. You have been the perfect, silent, and decorative lady. But the day's trials are not yet over. There is one final, public test you must endure. It is the ritual of the gift. Your father, his voice a booming, wine-fueled declaration, claps his hands for silence. A measure of quiet, or at least a reduction in the chaos, falls over the hall. "My Lord Baron," your father proclaims, raising his goblet, "our houses have spoken today of friendship and alliance. As a token of the great respect in which I hold you, I pray you accept a gift from my house to yours." At his signal, the great doors to the hall swing open, and two grooms lead in a magnificent black warhorse, its coat gleaming in the torchlight, its eyes wide and intelligent. It is your father's finest stallion, a creature of immense power and beauty. The Baron's eyes light up with a true and genuine appreciation. This is a gift he understands. It is a gift of war, of status, of power. It is a gift from one man to another. After the horse has been admired and led away, your father turns, and his gaze falls upon you. "And now," he says, his voice softening slightly, but still loud enough for the whole hall to hear, "I have asked my daughter Anne to present a small token of her own. This is your cue." You rise from your seat, a slow and graceful movement that sends a ripple through the heavy velvet of your gown. This is your final performance of the appraisal. A servant, the master falconer, approaches you. On his thick, heavy leather gauntlet, he carries a hawk. But it is not just any hawk. It is a peregrine falcon, the most prized and noble of all hunting birds, a creature reserved for the highest echelons of the aristocracy. The bird is hooded, a small, intricate leather cap covering its eyes, keeping it calm amidst the noise and the light of the hall. Its talons, sharp as needles, grip the falconer's glove. You have been prepared for this. You hold out your own arm, already covered in a smaller, more delicate leather gauntlet. The falconer, with a practiced and gentle movement, transfers the hooded bird to your wrist. The weight of the falcon is a shock. It is a small creature, but it is dense with muscle and bone, a compact engine of death. You can feel the surprising, insistent pressure of its talons gripping your arm through the thick leather. You must hold your arm perfectly steady, your muscles tensing under the unfamiliar weight. This is your gift to the Baron. It is, of course, not from you. You own nothing to give. It is a gift chosen by your father, a gift that you are merely the vessel for. And as you stand there, the living, breathing weight of the hooded bird on your arm, you understand the terrible, perfect symbolism of it all. A falcon is a creature of the wild sky, a symbol of freedom and untamed power. But this falcon has been tamed. It has been trained through endless patience and discipline to be obedient to its master. It has been taught to suppress its own wild nature and to serve the will of another. It is a beautiful, valuable, and utterly subservient creature. It is you. You begin your slow, deliberate walk from your seat to where the Baron is standing. You hold your arm steady, the hooded bird, a silent, living scepter. You are presenting this man with a perfect, unspoken metaphor for the ideal wife. You reach him. You stop. You perform another deep, flawless curtsy. "My Lord Baron," you say, your voice a soft, clear, and perfectly rehearsed murmur. "Please accept this hawk as a symbol of my family's great respect and of my own humble and obedient duty." You raise your arm, offering the bird to him. The Baron looks not at you, but at the falcon. He is a connoisseur of such things. He reaches out a hand, and with a surprisingly gentle finger, he strokes the smooth feathers on the bird's chest. He inspects the leather of the hood, the jesses that bind its legs. He is judging the quality of the gift with the same cool, dispassionate eye with which he judged you. "A fine bird," he says, a grunt of sincere appreciation. He signals to his own squire, who steps forward with a gauntlet, and the falcon is transferred from your arm to his. The weight is gone, and you feel a strange sense of lightness, of having handed over a part of yourself. The transaction is almost complete. The Baron now turns to a page behind him, who holds a small, velvet-wrapped object. "And I," the Baron says, his eyes finally meeting yours, "would offer the small token to the lady." He hands you the gift. It is a small, beautiful, and deeply impersonal object. It is a dagger, a bodice dagger, designed for a lady. Its hilt intricately worked in silver, its sheath made of fine, stamped leather. It is a beautiful but cold and dangerous thing. It is not a gift of courtship. It is not a flower or a poem. It is a symbol of his own world, a world of violence and power, a world you are now expected to enter. You accept it, curtsy again, and return to your seat. The ritual is over. The public tests are complete. You have survived. You sit through the rest of the feast, the small, cold weight of the dagger on the table before you. You have been appraised, and you have been approved. You have successfully traded a beautiful, tamed bird, a symbol of your own future self, for a beautiful, cold, and dangerous knife. The men are now deep in their cups, their talk turning to the final details of the contract, of the dowry, of the signing of the papers. The feast will continue, but your part in it is over. You are now just a quiet, decorative reminder of the bargain that has been so successfully struck. The feast, a great and noisy beast of consumption, finally begins to die. The main courses have been devoured, the sweet custards and candied fruits have been picked at, and the lower tables are now being cleared by an army of weary servants. The minstrels in their gallery have switched from lively dance tunes to a slower, more melancholic ballad. A haze of smoke, wine fumes, and satisfied exhaustion hangs in the great hall. For you, the long, grueling performance is over. You have been appraised, and you have been approved. Your father, his face flushed with wine and triumph, rises from his seat. He claps the Baron on the shoulder, a gesture of newfound strategic friendship. "My lord Baron," he says, his voice a low, booming sound of business. "Let us retire to my study. We have the final details of this happy alliance to discuss. A scribe awaits." He then turns his gaze to you and your mother. His tone shifts. It is no longer the voice of a host, but that of a commander dismissing his troops after a successful parade. "Anne," he says, "you may retire to your chambers. Your mother and your aunt will accompany you. Rest now. You have conducted yourself well. It is a clear, unequivocal dismissal. Your part in this great transaction is complete. You have been the beautiful, silent, and valuable object on display. Now that the time has come to discuss the price, the terms, and the legalities of your transfer, your presence is no longer required. These are matters for men. You rise, a slow and graceful maneuver, and perform your final, perfect curtsies. One to your father, one to the Baron, your future husband and master. You do not look him in the eye. You look at the floor. He gives a curt, almost imperceptible nod in your direction. It is the last acknowledgement he will give you today. You turn and begin the long, lonely walk out of the great hall. A small, female delegation retreating from the world of power and politics. You are a prize that has been successfully won. And now you are being removed from the table while the players settle the score. You feel a profound and deeply unsettling sense of your own irrelevance. You are the subject of the entire day's events, yet in its most crucial, final moments, you have no voice, no presence, and no power. You return to the Solar, the private sitting room that was the scene of your chess match hours ago. The atmosphere now is completely different. The tense, formal air of the appraisal is gone. It has been replaced by a mood of giddy, triumphant relief. The moment the door is closed, your mother, who has maintained a regal and composed silence all day, lets out a great sigh, her shoulders slumping. "Praise be to God," she says, her voice trembling with emotion. "It is done. He is pleased." Your Aunt Agnes, her face for the first time showing a crack in its grim facade, allows herself a thin, satisfied smile. "The girl performed her duty admirably," she says, "the highest form of praise you will ever receive from her." The women of your world now gather in the warm, firelit room, and the second, secret negotiation begins. It is not a negotiation of land or dowries, but of your future, of your new life. And you are forced to sit and listen to it, as if it were a story about someone else. "You performed beautifully, my daughter," your mother says, taking your cold hand in hers. The Baron could not take his eyes off you. Your skin was like alabaster in the torchlight. The blue of your gown was the perfect choice. She is a general, reviewing a successful military campaign. "A dowry will be immense," your aunt speculates, her voice a low, excited whisper. "Your father will demand the lands at Northwood, I am certain of it, and the tithes from the eastern villages. The Baron will have to agree. He needs a new wife, and he will find no other maiden of your rank and beauty this season. They are discussing your price. They are weighing your pale skin and your silent obedience against acres of forest and the income from 100 peasant families. You will be a great lady," Isabel, your maid, says, her own eyes shining with a vicarious excitement. "The mistress of Blackwood Castle. They say it has 100 rooms. You will have a dozen ladies of your own. You will have gowns of Italian silk." They speak of your future as if it were a fairy tale, a wonderful and exciting adventure. They speak of the power you will wield over a great household, of the status you will enjoy as a baroness. They see this as the ultimate victory, the very pinnacle of a noble woman's ambition. You sit in your great, heavy chair, a silent spectator to the joyful planning of your own life. You say nothing. Your headache is a roaring fire behind your eyes. The weight of your headdress, which you are still wearing, is a crushing physical burden. You listen to their happy, excited chatter, and it all sounds like noise from a very distant room. They do not speak of the Baron's age. They do not speak of his scarred face or the cruelty you have seen in his cold gray eyes. They do not speak of the first wife who died in his bed. They do not speak of love. They do not speak of happiness. Those words do not exist in this conversation. The language of this room is the language of success, of status, of power, of a good and profitable match. You realize with a chilling clarity that you have not won your freedom. You have not escaped a cage. You have merely passed the inspection that allows for your transfer to a larger, more opulent, and more dangerous one. From the corridor outside, you can hear the low, distant, rumbling voices of your father and the Baron as they haggle and debate in the study. You sit in the solar, surrounded by the triumphant, happy chatter of the women who have so successfully managed your sale. You are the subject of both conversations, and you have no voice in either. All you can do is sit in your beautiful, painful, ceremonial armor and wait to be told what the price of your life will be. You sit in the solar, a silent painted island in a sea of excited feminine chatter. Your mother and your aunt, their duty done and their victory all but assured, have settled into a state of giddy, triumphant relief. They speak of your future, of the magnificent wedding that must be planned, of the vast, cold, and powerful household at Blackwood Castle that you will now command. They speak of the fabrics you will buy, the number of servants you will have, the prestige that this alliance will bring to your family's name. Their voices are a bright, cheerful, and almost unbearably sharp counterpoint to the slow, heavy, and silent dread that is pooling in your own heart. You say nothing. You simply sit, your back held in the rigid, ramrod-straight posture demanded by your corset, your hands clasped loosely in your lap. The pain behind your eyes has settled into a deep, relentless, pounding ache. The weight of your hennin, which was a proud tower just an hour ago, now feels like a great stone crushing your head, straining the muscles in your neck until they are a single, screaming knot of fire. The tight lacing of your kirtle, which you have endured all day, now feels like a cage of hot iron, making every shallow breath a conscious and difficult effort. You are a prisoner in your own body, and now you must endure the final, most refined torture of the day, the waiting. The men, your father, the Baron, and their chief advisors, have retired to your father's private study at the far end of the corridor. The heavy oak door is closed, and behind that door, your life is being dismantled, appraised, and reassembled into a new shape. You are not a participant in this negotiation. You are the subject of it. You are the prize. From the solar, you can hear the faint, distant, and utterly unintelligible sound of their voices. It is a low, intermittent rumble, like distant thunder. You cannot make out the words, but you can imagine the scene with a chilling clarity. You picture your father, his face shrewd and hard, leaning across his great oak table, arguing for a particular parcel of land to be included in the dowry. You picture the Baron, his scarred face impassive, making a counteroffer. His voice a low, gravelly rumble of pure, unshakable power. You picture a scribe, a thin, quiet man in the corner, his quill scratching across a sheet of parchment, recording the terms of your sale, transforming your life into a series of neat legal clauses. They are not talking about you, Anne. They are talking about the assets you represent. They are talking about the number of silver marks your father will provide. They are talking about the military alliance, the number of knights and men at arms your father will pledge to the Baron's service in his Border Wars. They are talking about the succession, about the legal status of the male heirs that your body is now contractually obligated to produce. You are a name on a piece of paper, a living seal upon a treaty between two powerful houses. The women in the solar with you speak of your future as a glorious ascent. But you, listening to that distant, masculine rumbling from behind the closed door, understand the truth. Your future is a business transaction, and you are the currency. Time itself seems to warp and stretch. The fire in the hearth, untended, begins to die down, the logs collapsing into a bed of sullen, glowing embers. The weak afternoon light that filters through the high window begins to fade, and the shadows in the room grow longer, darker, like grasping fingers. Every minute that passes is an eternity. The waiting is a physical agony, a tight twisting knot of suspense in your stomach that is even worse than the constant, dull ache of your headache. A new and terrible fear begins to creep into your mind, a fear that is even more humiliating than being sold. What if the deal falls through? What if your father, in his pride, asks for too much? What if the Baron, in his cold calculation, decides that your value is not worth the price? To be appraised and then rejected, to be found wanting, would be a different and perhaps even more profound kind of shame. You would be a flawed commodity, a damaged piece of property, your value diminished in the eyes of all future suitors. You find yourself in the bizarre and terrible position of actively, desperately praying that your own sale is successful. You are praying for your own cage. The women's chatter finally dies down. Even they can feel the growing tension. A heavy, expectant silence falls over the solar, a silence broken only by the soft hiss and crackle of the dying fire. All of you are now simply waiting. And then you hear it, a new sound. It is the sound of a heavy chair scraping against a stone floor in the corridor outside. It is the sound of the study door opening. The low, rumbling voices of the men cease. A profound and absolute silence descends upon the entire wing of the castle. Your mother freezes, her hand halfway to her mouth. Your Aunt Agnes sits as still as a stone effigy. You yourself stop breathing. The negotiation is over. The verdict has been reached. You hear the slow, heavy footsteps approaching the solar. 2 sets of footsteps, your father and the Baron. You stare at the closed door of the solar, your heart a frantic, trapped bird, beating against its cage of bone. In a moment, that door will open, and you will be told what your life is to be. The silence in the solar is as thick and as heavy as a velvet shroud. The low, rumbling voices of the men in the study have ceased. The excited, whispering chatter of your mother and your aunt has died in their throats. The only sound is the soft, sad hiss of the last log on the fire collapsing into a bed of glowing embers. All of you, your mother, your aunt, your mates, are frozen. A tableau of silent female anticipation, your eyes fixed on the heavy oak door. You hear the scrape of the iron latch. The door swings open. Your father and the Baron enter the room. Their faces are grim, serious, and unreadable. The faces of men who have just concluded a long and difficult negotiation. They do not look at you, not at first. They walk to the center of the room, their presence filling the space, their power and almost physical force. You, your mother, and your aunt all rise to your feet, your movements a single, rustling, and deferential wave. Your father clears his throat. He addresses his sister and your mother, reporting the results of his diplomatic mission as if you were not even in the room. "My ladies," he says, his voice a low, formal, and deeply satisfied rumble. The Baron of Blackwood and I have reached an accord. After much discussion, an alliance between our houses has been forged this day. The terms are agreeable. He allows himself a small, triumphant smile. It is a good and profitable day for our family. The words are of business, of profit, of alliance. He has not mentioned the word marriage. He has not mentioned the word daughter. The Baron, standing beside your father, does not smile. He simply turns his head, and his cold, gray, and now distinctly proprietary gaze settles upon you. It is no longer the sharp, appraising gaze of a merchant inspecting goods. It is the calm, confident gaze of a man looking upon something that now belongs to him. He gives a single, slow, and formal nod in your direction. It is not a gesture of affection. It is an acknowledgement of the finalization of a contract. Only then does your father turn to you. He steps forward and places a heavy, possessive hand on your shoulder. The weight of it is both a comfort and a claim. "Anne," he says, his voice attempting a gentler tone that does not come naturally to him. "You have done your duty to this house. The Lord Baron has found you acceptable. You are to be his wife. The contracts will be signed on the morrow. The verdict has been delivered. The first sensation that washes over you is not joy. It is not happiness. It is not even fear. It is a vast, hollowing, and almost painfully intense wave of pure, unadulterated relief. The test is over. The long, agonizing day of scrutiny, of performance, of constant, unblinking terror is finally at an end. You have not failed. You have not shamed your family. You have not been found wanting. You have survived. The relief is so powerful, it is a physical sensation. You feel a great, tight band of iron that has been constricting your chest all day suddenly snap. And for the first time since you woke this morning, you feel as though you can almost take a full breath. But this profound relief is immediately followed by the chilling and equally profound absence of any other feeling. There is no joy, there is no excitement, there is no girlish thrill at the thought of a wedding. Your future, which has always been a vague and distant country, has just been given a name and a face. And that name is Blackwood. And that face is the hard, scarred, and unsmiling face of the old warrior standing before you. The relief you feel is not the relief of a lover who has won her heart's desire. It is the relief of a prisoner who has just been told that she will not be executed, but that her life sentence will now begin. Your outward reaction, of course, is perfect. It is the final scene of your long and exhausting play, and you will not falter now. You sink into another deep, slow, and flawless curtsy, the heavy velvet of your gown pooling around you like a formal offering. You keep your eyes fixed on the floor. "I am honored to serve my family and my Lord Father," you murmur, your voice a soft, steady, and utterly false vessel of piety and gratitude. "And I am humbled by the Baron's great favor." You have performed your duty. You have said your lines. You have been the perfect, obedient daughter. You rise, your movements slow and graceful. Your father is beaming now, his face lit with the pride of a successful negotiator. Your mother has a hand to her mouth, and you can see the tears of joy and relief glistening in her eyes. The Baron looks at you with the cool, satisfied gaze of a man who has just acquired a valuable and beautiful piece of property at a fair price. You risk a brief, fleeting glance at his face. You see the deep lines etched around his eyes. You see the cruel, thin line of his mouth. You see the old, white scar that seems to pull his face into a permanent sneer. And in that single, terrible moment, you see the next 40 years of your life. You see a future of duty, A future of managing his cold northern castle. A future of bearing his children, of sharing his bed, of enduring his hard, unloving presence. It is a future of immense wealth, of high status, and of a profound and inescapable personal loneliness. You have survived the medieval marriage proposal, and you realize with a chilling and absolute certainty that settles in your bones like the winter cold, that your true, lifelong, and far more difficult ordeal has only just begun. The verdict has been delivered. You are to be the Baron's wife. The words, so simple and so final, hang in the air of the solar, and in the silence that follows, the world erupts in a joy that is not your own. Your father, his stern warrior's face breaking into a rare and genuine smile of triumph, claps the Baron on the back with a loud, booming laugh. "A fine day's work," he proclaims. "A fine day for our houses. Let us seal this alliance with the best wine in my cellar." He shouts for a servant, and the room, which was a moment ago a chamber of tense negotiation and judgment, is instantly transformed into a scene of boisterous, masculine celebration. But the most overwhelming reaction comes from the women. Your mother, who has stood as a silent, regal statue of support all day, lets out a small, choked sob. But it is not a sob of grief. It is a sound of pure, unadulterated, and triumphant relief. Tears of joy begin to stream down her face, carving pale, clean paths due to fine powder she wears. She rushes to you, her hands clutching your arms, her face a mask of maternal ecstasy. "Anne, my daughter," she weeps, her voice thick with emotion. "You have made me so proud, so very proud. A baroness, the mistress of Blackwood Castle. All my prayers have been answered. For her, this is the culmination of her life's work. Her entire existence as a noblewoman has been dedicated to this single goal, to raise a daughter who could secure a powerful and advantageous marriage. She has taught you, trained you, disciplined you, all for this one perfect, successful moment. Your victory is her victory. Your success is the ultimate validation of her own life." Your Aunt Agnes, the grim and pious chaperone, allows a rare, thin, and almost painful-looking smile to touch her lips. She conducted herself with the virtue and modesty befitting her station, she says to your mother, her voice a quiet, satisfied pronouncement. The house's honor is secure. For her, this is a triumph of discipline, a successful campaign in the endless war against impropriety. And your maids, Elsbeth and Isabel, are a flurry of giddy, whispering excitement. They stand behind you, their faces shining with a vicarious joy that is almost overwhelming. "Blackwood Castle," Isabel whispers, her eyes wide with wonder. "They say it has 150 servants. You will be a queen in your own right, my lady." "The wedding gown must be of Italian silk," Elsbeth murmurs, her practical mind already leaping ahead to the next great project. "And threaded with gold. We will show the northern court what true southern elegance looks like." Their joy, their relief, their excited chatter, it swirls around you, a warm and suffocating tide. You are the silent, motionless center of this joyful storm, the still point around which their happiness revolves. You are the cause of all this celebration, the reason for all this relief, and you feel absolutely nothing. You are a ghost at your own party. You perform the necessary actions. You allow your mother to embrace you. You offer a small, modest, and completely empty smile in response to your aunt's praise. You nod gracefully as your maids chatter about your magnificent future. But your heart is a small, cold, heavy stone in your chest. Your mind is a silent, empty room. You listen to their words, and you realize with a chilling clarity that they are not talking about you. They are talking about a character in a story, a beautiful and virtuous princess who has just won her happy ending. They are celebrating the political alliance, the acquisition of land, the elevation of your family's status. They are celebrating the magnificent future of the Lady of Blackwood. They are not celebrating you, Anne, the terrified young woman who feels as though she has just been sentenced to a lifetime of exile in a cold northern land with a hard, cruel stranger. No one asks if you are happy. No one asks if you are afraid. The questions themselves are so alien to this context, so profoundly irrelevant to the business that has been transacted today, that they would be unthinkable. Your personal feelings are not a factor in this equation. They are a private, inconvenient, and entirely unimportant detail. Your duty was to be a worthy and desirable commodity. You have fulfilled that duty, and now your family celebrates the successful completion of the sale. You look from your mother's tear-streaked, joyful face to your aunt's grimly satisfied one, to your maid's starstruck eyes. You see their love for you. You see their pride in you, but you also see that they are celebrating a future that feels to you like a beautifully decorated prison. The joy of others is a high, thick wall that has just risen up around you, separating you from them, from everyone. They are on one side, in the warm, bright world of a successful alliance. And you are on the other, in the cold, silent world of the price that had to be paid. You are surrounded by their love and their celebration, and you have never felt more profoundly, more completely, and more utterly alone. The solar is a warm, bright cage of feminine triumph. Your mother and your aunt continue their happy, excited planning, their voices a constant, cheerful murmur that seems to press in on you from all sides. They are discussing the silks that must be ordered from Genoa for your wedding gown, the number of ladies in waiting you will be permitted to take with you to Blackwood Castle, the political advantages of being so close to the Scottish border. They are designing your future, and you are merely the silent, decorative mannequin upon which it will be draped. The headache that has been your constant companion all day is now a roaring, blinding inferno. The air in the room, thick with the scent of your heavy perfume and the smoke from the hearth, feels suffocating. You feel a desperate, urgent need for a moment of silence, a breath of clean, cold air. With a grace you do not feel, you rise from your chair. "My lady mother, my lady aunt," you say, your voice a soft, polite murmur. The heat from the fire is a little strong. With your leave, I would stand by the window for a moment. "Of course, my dear," your mother says, her face beaming with love and pride. You are flushed. It is the excitement of the day. You know it is not excitement. It is the silent, screaming pressure of your own despair. But you nod, and you glide the few paces to the tall, arched window at the far end of the solar. The window looks down upon the main bailey, the great, open courtyard of the castle. It is your only view of the real, working world. You stand there, your back to the room, and you look down. The courtyard below is a scene of organized, late afternoon activity. Grooms are leading the Baron's tired horses to the stables. Servants are carrying empty platters back to the kitchens. A group of men-at-arms are laughing loudly as they engage in a mock sword fight with wooden sticks. It is the familiar, everyday life of your home, and then you see it, in a quiet, half-hidden corner of the courtyard. Near the shadowed archway of the stables, you see two people. It is the young servant boy, Thomas, the one who has been assisting in your chambers all day, and with him is one of the young kitchen maids, a girl whose name you do not know. They believe they are unobserved, hidden from the eyes of the stable master and the other servants. You watch, a silent, unseen observer from your high window. The scene that unfolds is a small, simple, and entirely unremarkable one. And it is the most heartbreakingly beautiful thing you have ever seen. The girl is laughing. It is not the quiet, musical, and utterly false tinkle of a laugh that you are permitted to produce. It is a genuine, open, and unrestrained laugh of pure, uncomplicated delight, a sound that you can see, even if you cannot hear it. The boy, Thomas, has just handed her something. It is a small, slightly misshapen apple, clearly stolen from the kitchens, and he presents it to her with a clumsy, shy gesture, as if it were a great treasure. She takes the apple, and as she does, her fingers brush against his, and they linger there for a fraction of a second too long. He then reaches out, his movement hesitant, and he gently brushes a piece of straw from her messy, unbound hair. It is a simple, tender gesture. And then they look at each other. You see the look that passes between them. It is not the cool, appraising gaze of a suitor, nor the anxious, performative gaze of a maiden on display. It is a look of simple, honest, and shining affection. It is a look of two young people who exist in this one stolen moment only for each other. The moment is shattered. A loud shout from the stable master echoes across the courtyard. The boy and the girl jump apart as if struck by lightning, their faces flushed with a mixture of guilt and exhilaration. The girl quickly hides the apple in her apron, gives the boy one last, quick, secret smile, and then scurries back towards the kitchens. Thomas, trying to look as though he has been busy all along, picks up a bucket and disappears into the stables. The entire silent play has lasted no more than 30 seconds. You stand at the window, your hand pressed against the cold glass, and you feel as if you have just been stabbed in the heart. A profound and devastating realization washes over you. You, the Lady Anne, the high-born daughter of an earl, a woman surrounded by more wealth and luxury than this kitchen maid could ever dream of, will likely never, in your entire life, experience the simple, genuine, and radiant human connection that you have just witnessed. Your courtship was a public spectacle, a political negotiation, a performance of scripted lines and gestures. Theirs was a secret, spontaneous moment, a gift of a stolen apple. Your betrothal was sealed with a cold silver dagger, a symbol of power and duty. Theirs was sealed with a gentle touch, a shared, secret smile. You finally understand the true and terrible nature of your gilded cage. You have wealth. You will have power of a sort. You have a status that is the envy of thousands. But you are denied the one, simple, and most precious thing of all, the freedom to choose, the freedom to feel, the freedom to love. You turn away from the window, back towards the warm, comfortable solar, where your mother and your aunt are still happily discussing the political implications of your marriage. The brief, secret scene in the courtyard is over. You smooth the front of your magnificent gown, your face once again a perfect, placid, and unreadable mask. You have just witnessed a different world, a world of simple, honest feeling, and the knowledge of its existence, so close and yet so impossibly far away, makes your own rich, powerful, and loveless future feel like the most profound and desolate poverty of all. You turn away from the window, the fleeting secret image of the two young servants in the courtyard, a fresh, sharp ache in your heart. You pull the mask of serene, placid nobility back over your face and glide back to your seat in the solar. Your mother and your aunt are still deep in their triumphant discussion of your glorious future, their voices a cheerful, meaningless drone. You are an island of silent, cold knowledge in their sea of happy ignorance. They are celebrating the life you have won. You are grieving the life you have just realized you will never have. The afternoon begins to fade. The fire in the hearth is rebuilt, casting a worn, golden glow on the room as the sun sets. And then you hear the heavy, purposeful footsteps in the corridor. The private council of men is over. Your father and the Baron enter the solar once more, their faces flushed with wine and the satisfaction of a successfully concluded business deal. The Baron is preparing to depart. The time has come for the formal farewells. He approaches you, and you rise, performing another deep, flawless curtsy. "My lady," he says, his voice the same low, gravelly rumble. He takes your hand. His touch is not a caress. It is a brief, formal, and possessive gesture. I will return in 1 month's time, with the final contracts from the king's own scribes. We will set the date for the wedding then. He is not asking you. He is informing you of the schedule. He is your future lord, and he is giving you your first command. I shall await your return with great anticipation, my lord, you reply. Your voice a perfect, soft murmur of obedience. It is a flawless lie. He nods, releases your hand, and turns to your father. They exchange a final, firm clasp of the forearms, the gesture of two warriors who have now become allies. And then he is gone. You watch from the window, a silent, still figure, as his great retinue of green-liveried soldiers assembles in the courtyard below. You watch as he swings himself onto his massive black warhorse. He does not look up at your window. He gives a sharp command, and the entire procession clatters out of the castle gate, a dark, intimidating river of men and steel, flowing north towards his own cold, grim fortress, the place that will soon be your home. When he is gone, your father turns to you. He is a man who is rarely pleased, but today his face is lit with a look of profound, almost giddy triumph. In a rare display of what might pass for paternal affection, he places a heavy hand on your shoulder. "You have done well, Anne," he says, his voice booming with satisfaction. "Very well. You have served your house with honor. This alliance will bring peace to our northern borders and great prestige to our name. I am proud." You listen to his words. You understand with a sudden weary clarity the world as he sees it. He is not a cruel man, not in his own mind. He is a lord, a ruler, and his entire existence is a series of strategic calculations. He sees his lands, his soldiers, and his children as assets to be managed for the greater good of the family name. He is marrying you off to a hard old stranger, not out of a lack of love, but because in his world, this is love. It is the love of a lord for his lineage. He is securing your future in the only way he knows how, by encasing it in wealth, status, and power. He cannot conceive of any other kind of happiness. You do not argue. You do not weep. You cannot. There is no language for your own feelings that he would be able to understand. The grief you feel for the loss of your own choice is a foreign tongue to him. And so, you simply do what you have been trained to do your entire life. You obey. "Thank you, my Lord Father," you say, your eyes downcast. "I am happy to have done my duty." He claps you on the shoulder one last time, a gesture of final, satisfied approval, and then he too is gone, off to his study to drink and to savor his great political victory. Later, in the quiet of your own chamber, the long, exhausting process of deconstruction begins. As your maids unpin your hair and begin to unlace your gown, you are left alone with your thoughts. You walk to the small table where you had placed the Baron's gift to you. You pick it up. It is the small, silver-inlaid bodice dagger. You hold it in your hand. It is a beautiful object. The silver work on the hilt is intricate. The leather of the sheath is soft and perfectly tooled. It is a thing of immense value and craftsmanship. It is also a weapon. It is cold. It is hard. It is deadly. And you realize as you hold its cold, hard weight in your palm that it is a perfect and terrible metaphor for your new life. Your future will be one of wealth, of beauty, of high status, but it will also be one of hardness, of danger, of a coldness that has nothing to do with the winter. There is no softness in this gift. There is no warmth. There is no love. In that moment, something inside you settles. The vague, childish hope you once held, the hope for a different kind of life, the kind you saw in the brief, stolen glance between the two young servants in the courtyard. That hope dies. You understand now that such a life, A life of simple, genuine affection is a luxury for peasants and poets. It is not for you. Your life is a thing of contracts, of duty, of power. A strange, quiet, and chilling strength fills you. The terror of the unknown is gone, replaced by the grim certainty of your fate. You now know exactly what your life will be. You will be a baroness. You will be the mistress of a great, cold castle, and you will endure it. You will survive it. That is your duty. You take the beautiful, terrible dagger, and you place it carefully inside a small wooden box, beside the other few treasures of your young life. You have accepted it. You have accepted your future. The fight, the internal, secret, and desperate struggle against your own fate is finally over. The Baron and his retinue are gone, a dark river of men flowing north, leaving a strange and unsettling quiet in their wake. You have accepted your fate. You have looked upon the cold, silver-inlaid dagger that is the symbol of your future, and you have not flinched. The internal battle, the desperate, silent war against your own destiny is over. You have surrendered. And in this surrender, you expect to find a kind of peace, the quiet emptiness of resignation. But the day is not yet finished with you. Your performance is not yet complete. You are summoned for the evening meal. This is not the great, formal, and terrifying feast of the afternoon. It is a private meal for your family only, served here in the relative comfort of the solar. The atmosphere is completely transformed. The tense, oppressive air of judgment has been replaced by a mood of unrestrained, almost giddy celebration. Your father, a man you have rarely seen smile, is beaming. He is expansive, generous, laughing loudly with your uncle. He has successfully navigated a difficult and crucial political negotiation, securing his northern border and forging an alliance with one of the most powerful men in the kingdom. He is a victorious general, and you are the spoils of his war. Your mother is aflutter with a joy so profound it seems to make her younger. She cannot stop talking, her voice a bright, excited river of plans and pronouncements. She speaks of your wedding, of the magnificent guest list, of the statement your gown will make, of the power and prestige that now flows into your house. You sit at the table, a silent guest of honor, at a celebration you do not feel. You are the cause of all this joy, the centerpiece of their triumph, and so, you must perform a new role. You are no longer the modest, terrified maiden on trial. You must now be the happy, grateful, and successful bride-to-be. And so, the mask begins to resettle. It is a strange and subtle process. You can feel it happening. As your mother speaks of your good fortune, you feel the serene, placid expression that you wore for the Baron returning to your face, not as a conscious act of performance, but as a reflex, a defense. As your father toasts your health and your dutiful nature, you produce the same small, modest, closed-lipped smile that you perfected during the feast. You listen to their happy, triumphant conversation. And you realize the terrible truth. The serene, agreeable, and entirely false persona that you so painstakingly constructed for the Baron is not a role you can now put away with your magnificent gown. It is what they saw. It is what he approved of. It is what your father is so proud of. This, they have all decided, is who you are now. The real Anne, the quiet girl who loves the stories and the tapestries, the girl with a sharp mind for chess, the girl who grieved for a life of simple, free affection. That girl is a liability. That girl is a threat to this perfect, profitable alliance. She must remain hidden. She must, perhaps, be starved to death. The mask is no longer a tool for a specific occasion. It is becoming your new and permanent face. It is a conscious internal act of suppression. You feel a wave of your true emotion, a deep, cold, and profound sadness well up inside you, and you actively, deliberately push it down. You build a wall against it. You plaster over it with the serene smile. You feel a sharp, rebellious thought enter your mind, a desire to scream. Do you not see that you have sold me? But you crush the thought before it can reach your lips. That is not who you are anymore. The meal ends. You are exhausted, but your performance has been flawless. You have been the picture of a happy, grateful, and dutiful daughter. Later, as you are finally alone in your chamber, the long, slow process of deconstruction begins for the second time. The maids unpin your hair. They unlace your gown. And finally, they begin the harsh, painful ritual of scrubbing the toxic painted mask from your skin. When it is done, when you are clean and unadorned, you do something you did not do before. You ask for the mirror. You take the heavy, polished bronze disc in your own hands. You hold it up in the soft candlelight, and you look. You are expecting to see the raw, red, and damaged skin from before. You are expecting to see the sad, tired, and frightened girl you know is hiding underneath it all. But she is not there. The face in the mirror is your own, yes. The skin is blotchy and irritated. But the expression is different. The eyes that look back at you are not the wide, terrified eyes of this morning. They are quieter, they are colder, they are guarded. The mouth is not set in a line of fear, but in one of calm, placid resignation. The performance has been so complete, so all-consuming, that it has left its ghost on your true face. The mask has been washed away, but it has stained you underneath. You realize that you are no longer just acting like the serene and obedient Lady of Blackwood. You are becoming her. The role is consuming the actress. You turn away from the mirror. The day of your great trial is over. You have survived. You have succeeded. And the price of that survival was your own self. You understand now, with a clarity that is as cold and as hard as the Baron's eyes, that to be a woman of your station is to live your entire life as a performance. The mask is not a temporary disguise to be worn at feasts. It is your new and permanent skin. You close your eyes, no longer the frightened girl who dreamt of a different life, but the cold, composed, and resigned woman you must now be forever. You stand before the bronze mirror, a stranger to yourself. The reflection shows you a face that has already begun to absorb the cold, placid mask it was forced to wear. The day's long and terrible performance has ended in a kind of victory, but you know that the role you played is not one you can simply put away. It is your new reality, your life sentence. The maids, Elsbeth and Isabel, now begin the final stages of the nightly deconstruction. Your magnificent, heavy, and imprisoning gown is the first to go. You stand like a patient doll as they unfasten the dozens of hooks and eyes. They work together to lift the great weight of the silk velvet and gold thread from your shoulders. The feeling is one of profound release, as if a great, heavy shield you have been carrying all day has finally been set down. The gown, a magnificent tool of statecraft, is carefully folded and laid to rest in its chest. Next comes the kirtle. You turn and present your back to Elsbeth. Her nimble fingers find the end of the thick linen cord, and she begins to unlace the rigid cage that has held your body in its grip for the entire day. With each eyelet that is loosened, you feel a new wave of freedom. The stiff, whalebone-enforced prison around your torso relaxes its hold. And then, as the last of the laces are undone and the garment is pulled away, you do something you have not been able to do for nearly 14 hours. You take a deep, full and glorious breath. The air, even the cold, smoky air of the chamber, rushes into your lungs, expanding your chest with an almost painful sense of release. You had not realized until this moment how shallowly you had been breathing, how starved your body was for the simple act of filling itself with air. It is an intoxicating, dizzying sensation. Finally, the last of the underpinnings are removed. You are left standing in the center of the chamber, clad only in your simple, loose-fitting linen chemise. Your hair, now combed and unbound, hangs heavy and free over your shoulders. Your face is bare and clean, though it still stings from the scrubbing. And for a brief, precious, and entirely private moment, you are a natural woman. You are free. The feeling is so strange, so unfamiliar after the day's ordeal, that it is almost overwhelming. You stretch your arms high above your head, a simple, instinctive movement that would have been impossible just minutes before. You roll your shoulders, feeling the delicious, aching relief as the knotted muscles begin to unclench. You can turn your head freely, without the immense, precarious weight of the hennin dictating your every motion. You walk a few paces across the cold stone floor, and you revel in the simple, forgotten feeling of an easy, unencumbered stride. You run your fingers through your own loose hair, the feeling of its weight and texture a profound comfort. You touch your own bare face, the skin sore and tender, but it is real. It is your own. These are the simple, human sensations that have been denied to you all day, buried beneath an avalanche of fabric, bone, metal, and poison. This is the real you, the girl who was not on display, the girl who was not being judged, a simple human being in a plain linen shift, standing in the soft, quiet candlelight of her own room. This person is a secret. She is a creature who is only allowed to exist for a few fleeting minutes each day in the space between the deconstruction of the public icon and the oblivion of sleep. But the moment you know is already ending. Your maids have turned down the covers of the great curtain bed. The final sanctuary, the last and most comfortable cage of the day, is waiting for you. As you look at its dark, silent, and inviting depths, the reality of your world comes rushing back in. This moment of freedom is not a return to your true self. It is merely a brief, beautiful, and heartbreaking interlude between one performance and the next. The freedom is temporary. The cage is permanent. You slip into your simple sleeping gown and walk to the bed. You pull back the heavy curtain and slide into the deep, soft, and comforting embrace of the feather bed. The maids draw the curtains shut, sealing you into the darkness. You lie there, your body finally physically free, but your mind is already steeling itself for the morning. You know, with an absolute and weary certainty, that when the sun rises, the entire painful, poisonous, and restrictive process will begin again. Your brief, beautiful moment of being a natural woman is over. Tomorrow, you must once again begin the long and arduous process of constructing the perfect artificial lady. And so, we leave her in the darkness of her magnificent bed, a young woman who has survived her own marriage proposal. She won the day not through strength, nor wit, nor passion, but through her perfect, silent, and obedient performance. The stories of chivalry and romance are a beautiful lie. The reality of a medieval courtship, for a woman of the nobility, was a brutal and terrifying test. It was a business negotiation in which she was the primary commodity, and a psychological ordeal where her every glance, every word, and every breath was judged. You, a person of the modern world, would not have survived it. Not because you are not strong enough, but because your very sense of self would be a catastrophic failure. Your belief in personal choice, your desire for romantic love, your expectation of authenticity, your freedom to speak your mind and laugh from your belly. All of these things that you cherish as your birthright would, in her world, be seen as a fatal character flaw, a sign of a willful and disobedient nature that would have seen you rejected, shamed, and perhaps locked away in a nunnery. And now, as our story ends, it is time to be grateful for the simple freedom to be ourselves, to love who we choose, and to laugh as loudly as we please. It is time to rest, free from the weight of appraisal and the burden of a mask. Time to sleep.